right, LLC versus S-Corp. I'm so excited for this one. Let's get into it. So in our firm, we've seen it many a times. Same type of business, same income, but yet wildly different tax bills, right? And that difference there is the cost of thousands of dollars in taxes, simply based on whether they are an LLC or an S-Corp. But here's the thing. Most business owners choose whether to be an LLC or an S-Corp based on what's simple, right? Or what they've heard scream the loudest, right? So simple being LLC and scream the loudest being S-Corp. Okay, cool. But this one decision could be costing you $7,000 or more per year in avoidable taxes. We've seen it happen, and we've helped clients reverse it. All right, so listen to me. If you get this, this will set you up for your business to keep more profit, right? Because that's what matters. What good is profit if we just give it to Uncle Sam, right? So in this video, you'll learn the real difference between LLCs and S-Corps. You'll understand how each impacts your taxes, right? When switching makes sense and when it doesn't, that's key. And 3 scenarios every business owner should understand. All right. And I'll show you the math, right? We'll walk through the numbers so it makes sense to everyone. And you can finally make this decision, right? Of whether to be a LLC or an S-Corp with confidence. All right. Now, can I be real with you all? Here's something weird. We've saved clients thousands of dollars by switching them to an S-Corp. But we've also saved clients thousands of dollars by switching them to an LLC, right? So what's the catch? When do we do it? How do we do it? And why do we do it? Well, let's start with the basics. An LLC is a limited liability company. An S-Corp is an IRS tax designation. One you form, that's the LLC. One you elect, that's the S-Corp. Both protect your assets. Both are pass-through entities, but they work very differently under the hood. So let's clear up a huge myth that a lot of people have. Once again, you don't register an S-Corp. You don't register S-Corp, right? You don't create an S-Corp. No, you form an LLC or corporation, and then you tell the IRS that you want to be taxed as an S-Corp. And like I said earlier, right? People are screaming from the rooftops, S-Corp, S-Corp, S-Corps. But why do people obsess over S-Corps? Well, one word, taxes. That's why we're here, right? To pay less than taxes. At least that's why I'm here. All right. But more specifically, it's self-employment taxes. Okay. And here's where most people get burned without even knowing it. Self-employment taxes are the real silent killer in your business, right? As a business owner, you pay 15.3% on your profits before income taxes even kick in. Did you hear that? You pay an extra 15.3% on your net profit before income taxes even kick in, right? So it's the full FICA, Social Security, right? And Medicare. And if you net $100,000, well, you just hand over $15,300 to the IRS. But in general, this is why S-Corps feel like a cheat code, right? With an S-Corp, you split that income, part salary, part distribution. Only the salary portion is taxed at 15.3%. Let me say that again. Only the salary portion is taxed at 15.3%. So if you pay yourself $50K and take a $50K as distribution, you cut that in half, right? It goes from $15,300 to $7,650 simply by telling the IRS you want to be taxed as an S-Corp and splitting up that income. But hold up, an S-Corp isn't always a win. It isn't, right? It's not a magic pill for any and everybody. And let's talk about why. Yes, S-Corp save you money, but at the right income level. Okay? At the right income level. Too early, you'll add expensive tax filings. Too early, you trigger payroll requirements. And too early, you pay more in compliance than you save. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't sign up for that. But additionally, before we get there, this year, S-Corps face stricter IRS scrutiny than ever before. The IRS is watching reasonable compensation like a hawk. If you elect S-Corp status, you must pay yourself a reasonable salary. So how much is reasonable? Well, that's enough to match your job title, your role, and market pay. So you can't just pay yourself $1 and then take the rest as distributions. No. It won't work like that. I wish it did, but it doesn't, right? If you push it too low, push that salary down too low, your whole S-Corp status gets revoked. And that's not all. You also have back taxes and penalties. All right, I'm going to go ahead and draw a sad face on that. We don't want that, right? So don't get cute here, right? Keep it reasonable if you're going to make this move. But we still haven't talked about when to make this move. Well, there are 3 key scenarios you need to know. We're going to break it down using a baseline of profit, and that profit being $100,000 in profit. But I want to make one thing clear. This is net profit, all right? Not gross profit, not maybe profit, right? Not I think profit, net profit. But here are the 3 key scenarios you need to know. Scenario number 1, that's an active LLC. Scenario number 2, that's an LLC taxed as an S-Corp. And scenario number 3 is a passive LLC. Okay. And just know that the tax differences are wild, bonkers. Okay. So let's talk about it. Scenario 1, active LLC. This means you actively work in the business, right? And when you actively work in the business as an active LLC, your net profit is fully exposed to self-employment taxes, right? We talked about that. At 100K, that's $15,300 straight to the IRS. All right, sad face. Ouch. I could use $15,300. And if I'm just going to give it away to the IRS, I could have done something else with it, right? If I'm going to blow $15,300, I could have blew it on something that I can enjoy, right? A trip, clothes, shoes, I don't know, whatever you like, right? But let's talk about scenario number 2. That's an LLC taxed as an S-Corp. In this scenario, you pay yourself a reasonable salary, right? Say 50K. And the other 50K is distribution. We know that only the salary is taxed at 15.3. So instead of 15,300, you only owe 7,650 legally. All right, that's key. All right. None of the TikTok bros telling you to do all kind of stuff. That's illegal. This is legal. Okay. And scenario number 3 is a passive LLC. Now, folks, here's where things get spicy. Okay. If you don't materially participate in your business, you may pay $0 in self-employment taxes. So in the first scenario, active LLC, you pay the full self-employment taxes, 15.3. Scenario number 2, S-Corp, you only pay self-employment taxes on the salary. But in scenario number 3, you pay no self-employment taxes. No salary, no FICA, just passive profit. I love it. So this is what we call the 3 levels of business ownership. And you should follow this step by step by step, right? So this is my recommendation for most people. I'm not your CPA. I'm not your financial planner. I'm not your lawyer, right? But for most people, this is the steps. Level 1, just getting started, you want to be an active LLC. You're earning real profit. We'll talk about what that profit should be soon. You should be an S-Corp. Level 3 is you own the machine. You don't work in the machine less than 10 hours. That's passive ownership, right? You can start at any level, but most people climb the ladder, like I said, and they do it slowly and strategically. And with that, even the IRS says that your entity choice matters when it comes to your taxes, okay? If you don't believe me, you can go look in publication 334, right? The IRS confirms this. Your choice of business entity directly impacts your tax obligations, right? Paperwork and potential liability, right? So in plain English, what that means is you choose wrong and you miss tax savings opportunities, you overpay for compliance, and you risk legal exposure. That's why your entity choice is not just paperwork, right? It's not something that you just decide on a whim. It's strategy. And the biggest mistake we see here at LYFE Accounting is electing S-Corp too early. If you only net $25,000, the math will not work for you, right? Because you'll need to pay yourself a salary, you'll need to file a separate return, and you need to hire a payroll provider. Okay, cool. That'll save you around $1,900. But the extra cost of this, right, is going to cost you $3,000 or more, potentially. It's not worth it. So when do you switch to an S-Corp? Here's the number for you guys. $50K net profit. Not gross profit, not maybe profit, not I think profit. I'll go ahead and write it in here. I think profit, right? Not that. Consistent 50K net profit and above. That's when you switch to an S-Corp. That's when all of these things here, right? These things are actually beneficial and worth it from an ROI perspective. So when it's all said and done, should you be an LLC or an S-Corp? Well, ask yourself these questions. Do I work in the business? Am I making at least 50K profit? Do I want to reduce self-employment taxes or avoid it completely? All right. As we've seen throughout this entire video, the answer is not one size fits all, but the wrong answer can be extremely, extremely expensive. So if you need help running the numbers, I've been working on something special for our YouTube family, right? It's a tax credit and tax write-off platform where you can put in your business and get all of the tax strategies, numbers included, right, to help you save on taxes. And it's the same ones that we charge $5,000 for, $7,000 for, and even more to our clients. But you can get it for less than $2 a day, right? So do me a favor, sign up for the pre-launch. It's going to be the first link in the description. And I will make sure that you get a discount when we go live in approximately the next 30 days. Right? This is the greatest chance and opportunity that I've seen to get that high of a level of tax strategy for less than $5,000. All right, so link in the description. And I just want to leave you with this. And it's the fact that 2025 could be the year you stop bleeding in taxes. This isn't theory, it's the law. Right? It's written in the IRS code. The IRS is not going to warn you if you're overpaying. They might shake your hand. They'll just take what you give them. So you can either keep guessing. Oh no, that's a sad face. Or you can optimize your entity and keep more of what you earn. My name is Karan, and I'll see you in the next video.